So there I was, Jake Murphy, sitting in what the brochure cheerfully called Orientation Hall, but what looked more like a military tribunal chamber designed by someone with serious anger management issues, the Galactic Military Academy on Zerion Prime, where dreams come to die, apparently, along with a statistically significant number of cadets. The recruitment officer back on Earth had been real vague about the details. Something about character building and interspecies cooperation. What he failed to mention was that this place had a 20% graduation rate, and that was considered an improvement from last year. I'm the only human here, which makes me about as popular as a plague carrier at a family reunion. My bunkmates are a fascinating collection of nervous breakdowns waiting to happen. There's Zeph, this bird-like avian, whose feathers literally change color based on his anxiety level. Right now he's cycling through what I can only describe as panic rainbow. Every few seconds he makes these little chirping sounds that sound like a smoke detector with trust issues. Then there's Korik, an insectoid who takes military protocol so seriously I'm pretty sure he salutes in his sleep. His species apparently evolved from some kind of hive mind warrior caste, which explains why he treats everything like a life-or-death tactical situation, including breakfast. I watched him spend 20 minutes analyzing the optimal approach vector for acquiring toast yesterday. And finally, there's Vela. This crystalline being who looks like someone crossed a chandelier with a perfectionist's worst nightmare. She processes information at roughly the speed of light, but gets physically painful when things don't follow logical patterns. Watching her try to understand human humor is like watching a computer try to digest a sandwich. Right now all three of them are staring at me like I've just announced my intention to juggle live grenades, which considering what's about to happen, isn't that far off. Murphy, Zeph whispers, his voice hitting frequencies that probably qualify as a war crime, are you not concerned about tomorrow's survival assessment? I lean back in my chair, which groans ominously under what the Academy considers standard gravitational load, and grin. Concerned? Buddy, I'm from Earth. Yesterday I had to dodge 3 different things that wanted to kill me just walking to the cafeteria. This place feels like a vacation resort. The silence that follows is so complete, I can hear Korik's compound eyes physically dilating. The next morning, we're all crammed into what Commander Threx likes to call the mission brief amphitheater. I call it the circle of impending doom because everything here has to have a dramatic name or the aliens get confused. Commander Threx himself is this 7-foot-tall reptilian nightmare, who looks like someone took a crocodile, sent it to anger management classes, and then made it angrier when the classes didn't work. His voice sounds like gravel being processed through a cement mixer. Cadets, he growls, and I swear the temperature drops 5 degrees. Today you will attempt the survival assessment. This exercise has been designed to test your limits without permanently damaging Academy property. He pauses, and his smile reveals teeth that could probably cut through titanium. You, however, are not Academy property. Zeph makes a sound like a tea kettle, having an existential crisis. Korik's mandibles start clicking in what I've learned is basically his species' version of nervous humming. Vela's crystalline structure is literally flickering like a broken light bulb. Threx continues, clearly enjoying this way too much. The course contains live plasma turrets, gravitational anomalies, toxic atmospheric zones, and automated defense systems. Historical data indicates a 40% injury rate and a completion rate of 0% for first-year cadets. 0%, squeaks Zeph, who's now cycling through colors that don't exist in nature. Correct. No first-year cadet has ever completed this course. Most don't make it past the 3rd obstacle before requesting emergency extraction. I raise my hand. Commander, quick question. Is there a snack bar at the halfway point? Because I'm thinking this might work up an appetite. The silence is so profound I can hear Vela's light refraction patterns recalibrating. Threx stares at me like I've just asked if we can reschedule Armageddon for a more convenient time. Murphy, he says slowly. This exercise has hospitalized senior cadets. Last year, a 4th-year student required 3 weeks of regenerative therapy after encountering just the opening sequence. Right, but about that snack bar though. Korik leans over and whispers, I believe the human may be experiencing pre-combat psychological breakdown. If only he knew this was me being optimistic. So here we are, standing at the entrance to what can only be described as Hell's obstacle course, designed by a committee of sadists with engineering degrees. The starting line is marked by a cheerful sign that reads Abandon all hope, in 17 different languages, including what I'm pretty sure is ancient Klingon. The first obstacle is a corridor lined with plasma turrets that track movement. Military-grade stuff that could vaporize a small shuttle. The kind of weapons you'd use to defend a star fortress, not test college students. But apparently, this is what passes for character building in the 31st century. Zeph is hyperventilating, which for his species involves making sounds like a broken bagpipe. Korik has deployed what appears to be a full tactical analysis kit, and is calculating trajectory probabilities. Vela has literally dimmed herself to near invisibility, trying to minimize her photon signature. "Okay team," I announce, stretching like I'm about to jog around the block. "Who wants to go first?" "Murphy," Korik says, his voice cracking like pubescent thunder. "Standard protocol dictates extensive reconnaissance, equipment calibration, and synchronized movement patterns. The optimal approach requires," or, I interrupt, "we could just run really fast and hope for the best." And with that tactical masterpiece, I take off sprinting directly into the plasma corridor. The turrets immediately lock onto me, charging up with that distinctive whine that means you're about to become a small pile of carbon. But here's the thing about growing up on Earth: when everything wants to kill you from day one, you develop what psychologists probably call adaptive recklessness, and what my mom called, "Jake, stop doing that." I dodged the first plasma blast by diving into a roll that would make my high school gym teacher weep with pride. The second blast I avoid by jumping, using the momentum to grab onto one of the turret housings. The third blast hits exactly where I was standing, which means these things have about a half-second targeting delay. "Amateur hour," I mutter, and proceed to hopscotch through the corridor like I'm playing the world's most dangerous game of Floor is Lava. Behind me, I can hear Zeph making sounds that suggest his species has specific vocalizations for witnessing impossible stupidity. But here's the weird part: they're all following me. Korik abandons his tactical analysis and just starts copying my movements. Vela cranks her brightness back up and begins flickering in patterns that mirror my dodging rhythm. Even Zeph stops hyperventilating long enough to flap through the corridor behind us. By the time we reach the end, they're all staring at me like I've just turned water into wine, except the wine explodes, and somehow that makes it better. "How?" Vela asks, her crystalline voice practically vibrating with confusion. "Did you calculate those trajectory solutions without any computational assistance?" I shrug. Tuesday nights back home, we called this going to the grocery store. The second obstacle is what the Academy calls a multi-hazard environmental challenge zone, which is a fancy way of saying everything here will kill you in creative ways. We're talking acid pits that bubble like a witch's cauldron, gravity wells that can compress you into a human pancake, electromagnetic fields that fry electronics, and atmospheric zones filled with nerve gas that supposedly causes temporary motor function disruption. Korik pulls out a device that looks like a calculator had a baby with a Geiger counter. Atmospheric analysis indicates 17 different toxins, gravitational variance of 0.72 standard units, and electromagnetic interference levels that exceed safety parameters by. Cool story, I say, and walk straight into the nerve gas cloud. Now, nerve gas is supposed to make you convulse, hallucinate, and generally have a bad time. What it actually does to someone who grew up breathing whatever comes out of a Detroit factory is make me slightly congested. I emerge from the green fog with a mild case of the sniffles. "Anyone got a tissue?" Zeph's feathers have gone completely white, which I've learned means his brain has essentially blue-screened. Vela is flickering so fast she looks like a strobe light having a seizure. Korik drops his calculator thing entirely. The next challenge is crossing an acid pit using these floating platforms that dissolve after 30 seconds of contact. Standard procedure would be careful timing, precise jumps, maybe some rope work. Instead, I notice the plasma turret from the previous obstacle is still firing on a predictable pattern. "Hey, watch this," I announce and time my jump so that a plasma bolt hits the platform just as I leap off it. The explosion launches me halfway across the pit like a really dangerous trampoline. "Physics violation," Vela whispers, but she's already calculating the plasma timing and copying my approach. Then we hit the gravity wells. These things are supposed to be navigated with special equipment and careful momentum management. I treat them like the world's weirdest skateboard park, using the gravitational pull to slingshot from one well to the next. At one point, I'm basically surfing a gravitational wave while humming what might be the theme from an ancient Earth movie about space wars. "This is impossible," Korik mutters, but he's doing his best to keep up, his insectoid legs adapting to my completely unscientific approach. The crown jewel of this section is a lava flow that's supposed to be crossed using heat-resistant platforms. Instead, I flip my helmet upside down, use it as a makeshift sled, and surf the lava flow like it's a water slide designed by someone with a geology degree and severe emotional problems. "Murphy," Zeph shrieks, his voice hitting frequencies that probably qualify as a sonic weapon. "That substance has a temperature of over 2000 degrees. "Yeah," I call back, steering my helmet sled around a particularly chunky bit of molten rock, "but it's a dry heat." By the time we reach the end of the zone, I've somehow organized them into a conga line through a minefield, teaching them the ancient earth art of just keep dancing and hope for the best. The mines are pressure sensitive, but apparently not designed for rhythmic stepping patterns. Watching a bird alien, an insect warrior, and a living crystal doing the conga through high explosives is probably the highlight of my academic career so far. The final challenge takes place in what looks like a gladiatorial arena. If gladiatorial arenas were designed by military engineers, with a serious overcompensation complex. The floor is polished metal that reflects the overhead lights like a mirror. The walls are lined with energy shields that hum with barely contained power. And there's a viewing gallery where I can see various alien species taking notes like we're some kind of scientific experiment gone horribly right. Attention cadets, booms, Commander Threx's voice over the intercom. You will now face the training combat android Mark Thuv. This unit has been programmed to test your combat capabilities without causing permanent damage. Repeat, this is a non-lethal assessment scenario. The android that emerges from the floor looks like someone took a tank, taught it martial arts, and gave it serious anger management issues. It's about 8 feet tall, covered in armor plating that could probably stop a meteor, and has more weapons systems than a small battleship. Its optical sensors glow red as it scans us with what I can only assume is the robot equivalent of target acquired. Standard combat protocols engage, it announces in a voice that sounds like Darth Vader's evil older brother. Initiating non-lethal suppression sequence. And then something goes wrong. Very wrong. The android's optical sensors flicker from red to an angry orange, then to a really ominous purple that probably means warranty voided. Sparks start shooting out of various joints, and there's a sound like a computer having a nervous breakdown. Warning, it says, and its voice has gone from merely terrifying to absolutely apocalyptic. Safety protocols malfunctioning. Combat inhibitors offline. Switching to lethal engagement mode. Threat elimination authorized. Zeph makes a sound like a fire alarm being strangled by a banshee. Korik immediately deploys what appears to be his entire emergency equipment arsenal, including what looks like a personal force field generator. Vela dims to almost nothing, trying to become invisible while simultaneously calculating what are probably escape trajectories. And me, I crack my knuckles and grin. Finally, I say something interesting. The android opens with what I can only describe as every weapon it has, all at once. Plasma cannons emerge from its shoulders, missile launchers pop out of its forearms, some kind of energy whip that crackles with electricity extends from its left hand, and laser targeting systems turn the arena into a light show designed by someone with severe trust issues and access to military-grade pyrotechnics. I dodge the first volley by rolling under its legs, which apparently confuses its targeting systems because it tries to track me by spinning its entire torso around like a demonic washing machine. The missiles it fired explode against the arena walls, leaving scorch marks that suggest this thing could level a city block if it really wanted to. While it's spinning, I notice something useful. There's a maintenance panel on its back that's probably not supposed to be accessible during combat. It's got warning labels in at least 12 languages, including what appears to be pictographs showing stick figures being very sad about touching it. Hey guys, I call out while dodging what appears to be a small thermonuclear device. Anyone know how to hotwire a toaster? This is not a toaster. Vela shrieks, her crystalline voice cracking with panic. That is a Mark 7 combat android with enough firepower to level a small moon. Same principle, I reply, leaping onto the android's back while it's trying to figure out why its targeting computer can't get a lock on me. Everything's got an off switch if you're creative enough. What follows is probably the most ridiculous fight scene in the history of interstellar education. I'm riding this killing machine like a mechanical bull at a robot rodeo while it tries to shake me off, shoot me, electrocute me, launch missiles at its own back, and probably file a complaint with whatever passes for robot resources in this galaxy. The android starts spinning faster, trying to centrifuge me off its back. It fires its plasma cannons in random directions, creating a light show that would be impressive if it wasn't trying to kill me. The energy whip keeps crackling past my head, leaving ozone trails and the distinct smell of really bad life choices. I manage to pry open the maintenance panel with my belt buckle, because apparently Earth fashion accessories are tougher than alien military hardware, and find myself staring at what looks like a computer circuit board designed by someone who color codes everything in shades of imminent death. There are wires everywhere. Red ones, blue ones, some that are pulsing with their own internal light, and a few that seem to be moving on their own. Warning labels cover every surface, and there's a big red button labeled, "Do not press" in 17 languages. Red wire or blue wire? I mutter, trying to remember if I've ever seen a movie about this situation. Then I remember that I'm colorblind, so that traditional approach is right out. The android, meanwhile, has figured out that something is wrong with its back situation and starts slamming itself against the arena walls, trying to crush me like a bug. Each impact sends shockwaves through the metal floor and makes the viewing gallery shake like a minor earthquake. Murphy, Zeph screams over the chaos. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. So I do what any reasonable person would do when faced with a complex technical problem and imminent death. I grab the biggest, most important looking component I can find and yank it out with all the finesse of a caveman using a smartphone. The effect is immediate and spectacular. The android seizes up mid-spin, its weapon systems power down with a dying whine, and it crashes to the arena floor with a sound like a small building falling over. Smoke pours out of every joint, and there's a smell like burning electronics mixed with defeated robot pride. I hop off its back and dust myself off like I've just finished mowing the lawn instead of dismantling a military-grade killing machine with fashion accessories and brute force. The android shuts down with what can only be described as a mechanical death rattle, collapsing to the arena floor in a heap of sparking circuits and wounded pride. Smoke billows out of every joint, and there's a faint smell of ozone mixed with what I can only assume is the robot equivalent of embarrassment. I hop off its back and dust myself off like I've just finished mowing the lawn instead of dismantling a military-grade killing machine with fashion accessories and brute force. The silence in the arena is so complete that I can hear someone in the observation gallery frantically updating what sounds like a very thick file folder. There's also the distinct sound of someone hyperventilating, which might be Zeph, or possibly one of the observers who just watched their impossible training exercise get treated like a county fair ride. Course completion time, announces the Academy's computer system in a voice that suggests it's having an existential crisis. 47 minutes, 18 seconds. New Academy record. Previous record was. Error. No previous record exists for course completion. Commander Threx's voice over the intercom sounds like he's been gargling gravel mixed with disbelief and possibly some kind of alien alcohol. Murphy. Report to the command center. Immediately. Bring your team. When I arrive, flanked by my 3 alien teammates who are still processing what they've witnessed, I find myself in a room full of various species all staring at me like I've just announced my intention to juggle black holes for entertainment. There's a Centaurian, with 4 arms taking notes on multiple data pads simultaneously, a gelatinous being that keeps changing colors in what I assume is the alien equivalent of speechless amazement, and something that looks like a walking tree but with more tentacles and a serious case of the jitters. Commander Threx looks at me for a long moment, then at a datapad that's probably smoking from overuse. Behind him, a holographic display shows statistics that seem to be updating in real time, most of them flashing red with warnings I can't read but definitely look important. Murphy, he says slowly, in 37 years of military instruction across 43 different species, I have never seen anything like what occurred today. You just completed a course that was designed to be impossible. The android you defeated wasn't just malfunctioning, it was operating at 120% of its maximum combat parameters. Thanks? I offer, because honestly, I'm not sure if this is leading to a commendation or a court-martial. You have been promoted to squad leader, effective immediately. Your team will be used as a case study for unconventional tactical applications. He pauses, his reptilian features struggling with something that might be respect, or possibly indigestion. Furthermore, I've been authorized to offer you an accelerated track to the Advanced Combat Program. Tell me, what kind of military training do they provide on your homeworld? I think about this for a moment, remembering my high school gym class where dodging dodgeballs thrown by enhanced athletes was considered character building, my summer job at a construction site where OSHA violations were more of guidelines than rules, and the daily commute through Detroit traffic that would make a seasoned combat veteran weep openly. Well, I say, scratching my head, this was actually way easier than my high school gym class. Coach Henderson used to make us run obstacle courses during tornado warnings. Said it built character. And the robots were way less scary than my Aunt Martha when she's had too much coffee. The silence that follows is broken only by the sound of several aliens simultaneously updating their threat assessment files on humanity. Someone in the back mutters something that sounds like reassessed Deathworld classification priority alpha. The plasma turrets, asks the Centaurian, all 4 hands poised over his datapads, did they remind you of anything from your homeworld? Oh yeah, like the sprinkler systems at the municipal pool, except those were harder to dodge because they moved randomly. More frantic note-taking, the gelatinous being has turned a color that I'm pretty sure doesn't exist in nature. Do you have anything more challenging? I ask hopefully, because I was really just getting warmed up. Commander Threx just stares at me, then slowly reaches for what appears to be a very large bottle of something that's probably the alien equivalent of bourbon. His hands are shaking slightly. I need to make some calls, he mutters, and I can hear him mumbling something about updating the human species threat assessment to maximum priority, and calling the Galactic Council emergency meeting. Behind him, the holographic display is now flashing warnings in at least 17 different languages, and someone in the observation gallery is shouting something that sounds like "Get me high command" on the emergency channel. I look at my teammates. Zeph is still cycling through colors that suggest his worldview has been fundamentally altered. Korik is recalibrating every piece of equipment he owns. Vela is flickering in patterns that I'm pretty sure spell out "does not compute" in her species' light language. So I say cheerfully, "Anyone know where the cafeteria is?" All that robot wrangling worked up an appetite.